I'd like to begin with an announcement from the management. We understand there are some people here who have come believing that this evening is a tribute in words and music to the work of Tony Blair for peace. If any of you are under that impression, your money will be refunded if you leave by a door on the extreme right. This is really a history lesson of the struggle that people have had over many centuries for freedom, for democracy, for equality, for human rights. And the way you teach history is very important, because when I was 12, in 1937, there was a coronation. I think King George VI was crowned, and at school I was given a pencil, and it had the dates of all the kings and queens of England on it. And I attribute such success as I've had in life to the fact that I could remember 1066, William the Conqueror. And trouble was, I was such a keen student that I cut the pencil and I lost lots of the kings, and it didn't seem to make any difference. At any rate, I should warn you that this is a very, very subversive evening, because what we're about is the struggle of people. Every generation, the same struggle goes on for all the things that people want, freedom and justice and so on. And I'm going to read some quotations over the years, and Roy is going to sing about it. And I think it ought to be part of our history curriculum in schools. We did propose it, but that hasn't so far been accepted.
History lesson, it's time to remember. Time to remember the deeds of the great. Please pay attention, don't let your minds wander. Daydreams and playtime can wait. Black the minnows that swarm in the water, white the butterfly flits in the sun, red the blossom and pink the magnolia. History lessons begun. Joan of Arc ended up as a cinder. Henry VIII did for 2 of his wives. Wish I could dive in the pond where the ducks are, having the time of their lives. Red the blood on the axe of the headsman, black the stake and the bodies that burn, white the face of a priest and the hangman. These are the facts you must learn. Pitt paid a packet to patch out an empire. Drake bowled the Spaniards out first ball, just to want to lie in the sun by the water, down where the rushes grow tall. Red the lines of Wellington's army, white the ensign where Nelson held sway, crimson the cavalry Marlborough commanded. History's heroes are they. Which scrap of paper began their big bundle? Which umbrella brought peace in our time? Questions and answers dissolve in the sunshine. Wait for the school bell to chime. Green the gas as it gutters the trenches, black the smell of the smoke from a gun, white the pain of a bombshell exploding. History lessons begun. History lesson, please try to remember. Try to remember the deeds of the great. Theirs was the power, the glory, the honour. They were the chosen of fate. Black the minnows that swarm in the water, white the butterfly flits in the sun, red the blossom and pink the magnolia. History lesson is done.
So I ought to mention how I met Roy in 1976 in Burford, and we met to commemorate the fact that Cromwell shot 3 of his soldiers there. One because he wouldn't go and fight in Ireland, another because he hadn't been paid, and there was a great celebration there, and Roy sang and I talked about the Levellers and about Cromwell and about the English Revolution, and it was a tremendous event. They had workers from the Cowley plant there, they had the Workers' Education Station there, and there was a terrible row about us coming to this lovely little village in Burford and having this event, and the local Member of Parliament wrote to the government and tried to get the grant withdrawn from the Workers' Education Association for taking part. His name was Douglas Hurd. He did something else later. But at any rate, ever since then I've become a very keen admirer of Roy's singing, and that's how we got together today to talk about this event. So let me begin with the 14th century. It was in Latin, and I can understand why when I read it. 700 years ago, this is what somebody said. The state of the world is at the present day constantly changing. It is always becoming miserably worse, for he who spares nobody and who is most bent on gain is most beloved and most commended. Almost all rich men are too avaricious. The poor man who possesses little must be robbed and spoiled of his property to enrich the wealthy. Well, Rupert Murdoch might possibly have been the subject he was speaking about, but the point is nothing changes.